This is a video about Kimber Kauffman, Kimber Shaw, and College Park Church. In this video, I'm going to be talking about domestic violence, so if that's not good for you, please don't watch. In this video, I'm going to be talking about sexual abuse, so if that's not good for you, please don't watch. Now, my father, Kimber Kauffman, started a church in the 80s and 90s called College Park Church. It's still in existence today, but my dad is no longer a part of it. My dad in the 90s got sick and he became a victim of the opioid epidemic, where in the 90s they were prescribing opioids for any problem, and so my father did become an addict of opioids. Because he was a victim of this crisis, my father started to act like an addict, and addicts are violent. I saw my father beat up my mother. I saw him grab her by her neck, pin her to a wall, throw her down, kick her in the stomach. I saw him hit her. I saw many violent things I don't really want to go into here. And around this time, when my father was really struggling with his addiction, when he was a victim of this opioid epidemic, we were keeping it quiet. We were told we shouldn't talk about it, we shouldn't let people know. So it was all these family secrets, and I was a child, so I was doing as I was told. Around this time, we had a lot of people in our house, as the pastors do, and one of these people was my young cousin, Kimber Shaw. He was friends with my older sister's boyfriend, and he was in our house all the time. We were raised together, we grew up together, he was always over. So when I was around 13, 14, he started crawling into my bed. At first he just was in my bed to sleep, and then he would come in and he started cuddling me, then he came in and started touching me. And they were my first sexual touches ever. I just remember I would wake up violently aroused and not knowing what arousal was, and then realizing it was my cousin that was doing it, and then kick him out. And it was just so confusing, and I felt so guilty and bad about it, but also I was sleeping. And it kept happening, and it would happen in my bed, and it would happen also in the basement. Sometimes Kent and my sister would be watching a movie like his boyfriend girlfriends do, and my cousin, I would fall asleep. I had mono in high school, and so I would fall asleep and my cousin would come and I would wake up, and again he'd be touching me and I have to kick him off. So I think my sister's boyfriend, Kent, he started to realize what was going on, and at one point after a couple months of my cousin crawling into my bed and just molesting me while I slept, I came into my room and my cousin was already there, and I had this old typewriter and he was typing on the typewriter, and when I came in he just took the paper out and kind of ripped it up and threw it away and left. And so I wanted to know what he had been writing, so I pulled it out of the trash and put it together, and it just said how much he wanted to fuck me and kind of a bunch of lewd things. And I started to cry and shake, and I kind of realized at that moment all of these times he had come in and molested me, and I realized it was going to get worse. And I didn't know what to do. I was 13, 14, and I was already seeing all this violence from my father, and I just felt just terrified. And so I, for whatever reason, I told Kent, my sister's boyfriend, and I think he understood, because he had been in the basement when Kimber had been trying to touch me before. He had been he had seen things, and so he gave me an ultimatum after a few weeks and said that either I tell my parents or he would. And so I told my parents, and it was immediately horrible. My father was very angry. I remember he took me to the side and he kind of was yelling at me, asking me what was happening, and there was no space to tell him what was happening. He was very angry. He's a very tall guy. I'd already seen him beat up my mom, and he was angry at me. He was angry at the situation. I don't know. But it wasn't I had room to be oh yeah, let me tell you everything that happened. I feel real safe here. Which means when I called my dad last week to talk to him about this, he called me a liar, and he told me I was playing the victim and that he didn't believe me. He told me, Kimber only touched your boobs one time, which is, Dad, ask Kent what happened. I just don't understand how in 2022 still people don't believe me just because of the shape I am. But this is what happened. At the same time, my father was an opioid, he was a victim of that. So when it came out, there was a meeting with all the parents, my cousin's parents, me, my cousin. There was a feet washing that happened, and I was told as a young child that I should never talk about it because I could ruin my cousin's life. That was what I was told. And that I was also told I should never talk about it because then I would never get married. No man would want me if they knew I had been sexually abused. I was told these things and then left alone in a house with an addict who was still being an addict to deal with it. So earlier this year, in February of 2022, College Park Church sent out an announcement to thousands of people talking about an investigation they were going to do from the past. My name wasn't mentioned in it, and my cousin's name wasn't mentioned in it, but however they worded it, a bunch of people knew it was about me. And I woke up one morning in New York City and got a bunch of texts from all these people I don't normally talk to in Indiana saying, hey, we think this is about you. And in the message the College Park Church sent out to thousands of people, they used the word investigation. And it terrified me. I had no idea what was going on. I was not aware. I had no idea. And so I immediately started having symptoms of PTSD. I started not being able to sleep. I started waking up with night terrors. I kept thinking people were in my bed when I would be asleep. I had to check the door was locked multiple times. I lost a lot of weight. I became hyper-aware, hyper-vigilant. It was hard for me to talk about anything. All because College Park Church sent out this announcement without warning me. And then they wanted me to participate in their investigation. But when I found out who was doing the investigation, it was people they already work with on a daily basis. It wasn't an independent investigation. It was like an agency that they work with like daily that was already biased towards College Park Church. And it didn't seem like it was going, like no justice was going to happen, I was sure. So I didn't participate in their investigation of my childhood trauma that they never warned me of without first sending out a notice to thousands of people. And I don't know how the world is. I really don't know. But I thought that family and the church were places of love. But I've reached out to my family, the cousins who are responsible for this, to just ask for help and understanding. And I've been told that I need to deal with it with my own family. And it's such a weird thing to say because the only reason I'm in this situation is because I was sure my cousins were my family. They were in my house growing up. We were raised together. The reason I have this problem is because they were in my house. And they are my family. And I cannot go talk to my father because when I do, he tells me he doesn't believe me. He tells me I'm playing the victim. He tells me I'm not believable. So as a child, I was sexually abused in my parents' home multiple times while I was seeing my father abuse prescription drugs, drink, and hit my mom. And then when it came out that I was sexually abused, the grown-ups covered it up. And I got no help at all, and I'm still struggling because of that. And in February, College Park Church brought it up in a very disrespectful way. And in this whole process, no one has thought about my life or my future or even given me room to be sad. If I cry or if I yell or if I act in ways that they don't like, they just tell me I'm bad, right? And I don't know how someone can be so abused and deal with it without showing any emotion. I'm trying my best. But I just need to say, like publicly, Kimber Kauffman, Kimber Shaw, College Park Church. I was asleep. And I'm still afraid to go to sleep. And College Park Church knows that several young children were abused, and College Park Church has done nothing about it. And College Park Church has kind of lied to a lot of people by saying they did an independent investigation when you can look into who was their investigator and you can look and see that College Park Church has paid them many, many, many times. And that's not independent if you're using someone that you've already paid a bunch of times. And I really think family and the church should be places of love. And I really think that I should not be ostracized from my family just because I was sexually abused. but that's what's happened. I don't have a family because I was sexually abused, and it's too hard for everyone to talk about. I am sorry that I slept and that someone crawled in my bed and touched me. I didn't want it. I think my father was a victim. I think Kimber Shaw is a victim. I think I'm a victim. And I think there is healing that can happen, and it's unfortunate I have to do it all on my own. But after many times of reaching out to my cousins and being ignored, and after many times of reaching out to College Park Church and being told that I'm just kind of bad, and after reaching out to my father and being told that I'm playing the victim, I'm just going to publicly say, Kimber Kauffman, Kimber Shaw, College Park Church. Kimber Kauffman, Kimber Shaw, College Park Church. How do they have the same name? How do Kimber Kauffman and Kimber Shaw have the same name? It's crazy. So, thank you for listening to my biography. Thank you for your time. I am not trying to hurt anybody. I'm just trying to say the story of my life. It's a video about Kimber Kauffman, Kimber Shaw, and College Park Church.